It was my first October at Red River Gorge. I thought I understood what alone meant. I didn't. Not until that last week. My name's Caleb, 23, forestry degree from Murray State, had the badge by June. They put me on backcountry patrol at Daniel Boone, solo, because they didn't have anyone else. My partner transferred out in September. I just picked up his route. Late October in the gorge is a specific kind of empty. The leaves are mostly down, and you can see through the trees in a way that makes you feel exposed, like the forest lost its walls. The fog sits in the gorge until noon, and the temperature drops hard after sunset. Low 30s. I could see my breath by 5 o'clock. The campers cleared out weeks earlier. By late October, I was the only person in 16,000 acres of sandstone and rhododendron. My job was simple. Hike the loop, check the campsites, log conditions, make sure nobody left anything that could attract bears. I did everything by the book, every single thing. I was scared of getting fired, honestly. First real job. So I carried the field manual in my pack and referenced it like scripture. Campsite inspection form. I filled out every line. I was that guy. October 27th. Campsite 7, end of a spur-off rough trail. Tucked into a hollow between two sandstone ridges. The rhododendron tunnels were thick even without full leaf cover, and the trail felt like you were walking into something rather than along something. I came around the last bend and saw the tent. Orange. 2-person. Pitched tight. Stakes in the ground. Guy lines taut. No permit tag on the site post. Okay. Abandoned property, it happens. People leave gear when it rains too hard or when they get spooked by something in the night. A whole tent wasn't unusual. I walked up to it, unzipped the flap, sleeping bag rolled out on a ground cloth, a can of Del Monte peaches, the big 29-ounce can, opened about a third eaten, with a white plastic spoon resting in the syrup, and a paperback on the ground cloth. Stephen King, The Shining. Dog-eared soft cover, the kind you'd buy at a gas station. Open, face down to page 217. No ID, no wallet, no phone, just the tent, the bag, the peaches, and the book. I photographed everything. Filled out the abandoned property form, pulled a pink tag from my vest, wrote my badge number and the date, 10/27, and clipped it to the tent zipper. Radio dispatch. Dispatch, this is Gorge Backcountry. Abandoned tent at Campsite 7 Rough Trail Spur. No permit, no ID. Requesting pickup. Response was broken up. Copy, noted, send someone when available. Nobody came. That was normal too. I hiked back to the cabin, 3.5 miles, made it before the light got bad. But there was something on the trail I couldn't stop noticing. The birds. They were loud, too loud. Jays and crows screaming at each other in the canopy. I've been around birds my whole life. This wasn't territorial. This was, I don't know, agitated. Like the woods were being loud on purpose. Like something needed covering up. I wrote it off. Wrote up my report at the cabin table. Single tent, orange, 2-person, no ID, no vehicle at trailhead. Pink tag attached. Badge 4471, date 10/27. Ate a can of chili, locked the cabin door. I remember lying in my bunk that night, listening to the nothing outside. No wind, no coyotes, no owls, just nothing. The kind of quiet that makes you hear your own blood moving. I fell asleep with my flashlight on. I told myself it was because I was reading. Next morning, October 28th, Campsite 12 was on the rotation. 4 miles east, through the bottom of the gorge, past the creek crossing and up the other side. I packed my bag, same as always, clipboard, camera, pink tags, radio. The field manual stayed in the side pocket. The hike in was quiet. Not the bad kind of quiet, just October quiet. Leaves under my boots. My own breathing. Campsite 12 sits on a bench above the gorge. I came up the last switchback, stepped onto the flat, and stopped. You know that feeling when your brain sees something before your body reacts? Like there's a half second where your eyes have processed it but your legs don't know yet? The orange tent. Same tent. I knew it before I got within 50 feet. Same pitch angle, same taut guy lines, same stake pattern. I stood there on the trail for, I don't know how long, a minute maybe, trying to make it make sense. I actually said out loud, okay, different tent. Somebody else has an orange tent. I said it the way you say things to an empty room just to hear a voice that isn't inside your head. I walked up, unzipped the flap, and everything stopped making sense. Same sleeping bag, same ground cloth. Same can of Del Monte peaches, same amount eaten, same spoon, same angle, same paperback, same page. 217, my pink tag was gone. I backed out of the tent, pulled up yesterday's photos on my phone, held the screen next to the tent opening. The wrinkles in the sleeping bag were identical, not similar, identical. Same fold near the zipper, same bunching at the foot end, the peach syrup at the same level, the spoon handle pointing the same direction. I radioed dispatch. My voice was steady. I made it steady. Dispatch, this is Gorge backcountry. Did anyone retrieve the abandoned tent from campsite 7 yesterday? Over. Long pause. Static. Then, negative Gorge. No personnel dispatched to your area. Over. I stood there. The wind had been blowing when I arrived, light from the southwest, enough to move the tent fabric, and then it stopped. The tent went still, and the birds stopped, and the creek, I could hear the creek from the gorge below, a thin sound, constant since I'd started hiking. The creek stopped. Not slowed down, stopped, like someone turned off a faucet. The silence was physical. It pressed against my ears. I could feel it in my jaw, in my teeth. The kind of silence that has weight. I stood there in it and I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink. The tent was right there in front of me, orange and bright and perfectly still, and the whole gorge was holding its breath. Then a crow called, one single crow, far away, and everything came back. Wind, water, bugs. Like someone hit play. I tagged the tent, new pink tag, badge 4471, date 10/28. Photographed the tag number, wrote the GPS coordinates on the form 37.784DN, 83.6127 degrees W. Campsite 12. I hiked back fast, didn't run. Running in the woods is how you twist an ankle, but I walked like I had somewhere to be, didn't look back. Not once. That night I sat at the cabin table with the topo map under the lantern. Campsite 7 to campsite 12, 4.2 miles through the gorge. No vehicle access. Someone would have had to carry that tent, fully set up, stakes and all, 4 miles through rugged terrain in the dark. I called my supervisor. Went to voicemail. I left a message about routine site checks. Didn't mention the tent. I texted my mom. Weather's nice, cold nights, doing fine. Before bed, I stepped onto the cabin porch to brush my teeth at the hand pump. The moon was up, almost full, and the porch boards were pale in the light. That's when I noticed the boot prints. They were on the porch, coming toward the door, clear tread marks in the thin layer of mud and leaf dust. Danner Trail 2650s, size 11. My boots. I looked at the soles of my boots, still on my feet. Same tread, same size, but these prints were pointing at the door, toward it, not away from it. Like someone wearing my boots had walked up to the cabin while I was inside. I went in, locked the door, checked the windows, pushed the table against the back wall so I could sit with my back to something solid. I didn't sleep. Not really. I just listened to the dark and waited for morning. October 29th. I almost didn't go out. Sat on the edge of my bunk for 20 minutes, boots in my hands, staring at the wall. Campsite 3 was on the rotation, 2.7 miles northwest. I told myself it was the job. Told myself a lot of things that morning. The fog was the worst I'd seen all season. Couldn't see more than 30 feet. The trees came out of the white like they were being built one at a time. I navigated by GPS because the trail markers were swallowed. My boots were soaked within the first half mile. Something about the trail felt wrong. I'd hiked this route maybe 15 times since August. I knew the switchbacks, the route crossings where the big hemlock leaned at chest height, but the trail was straight, too straight. No switchbacks, no roots, just a flat, even path cutting through the fog like it had been laid down that morning. GPS said I was on trail, correct bearing, but the terrain didn't match. I kept walking. Campsite 3 is in a clearing on a ridge. I came through the fog and there it was. The tent, orange, same stakes, same guy lines, but this time there were boot prints. A circle around the tent. Someone had walked around it 20 times, maybe more. The prints overlapped, wore a track into the leaf litter. Danner Trail 2650, size 11. I crouched down, put my boot next to a print. Exact match. Same wear on the left heel where I dragged my foot. Always have, since high school. My hands were shaking. I stood up and walked to the tent. Every part of me said don't. I unzipped it. Everything the same. Sleeping bag, peaches, spoon, book, page 217. All of it identical. All of it exactly where it had been 2 days ago, 4 miles ago at a different campsite. But the book had something new. There was writing in the margin of page 217, pencil, small, neat letters. I leaned in close, and my stomach dropped because I recognized the handwriting, the way the lowercase a had a tail that curled back, the way the T crossed slightly to the right. I've been writing like that since grade school. My third-grade teacher tried to fix it. Never took. The note in the margin said, "Don't go back to the cabin." I backed out of the tent so fast I tripped over the guy line and went down hard on my hip. I scrambled up, grabbed for my radio. Static. Nothing but static. I pulled out my phone. No signal. The GPS still worked, but when I looked at the coordinates, my chest went tight. 37.7831 Greece N, 83.6214 W. Campsite 7. The GPS said I was at Campsite 7, the first campsite, the one from 2 days ago. But I was standing 3 feet from the Campsite 3 marker post. I could read the burned letters in the wood. Site 3. The GPS said 7, the post said 3, and the tent was the same tent. I didn't think about it. I packed out. Left everything, the clipboard, the forms, the pink tags. I just turned south and started walking. 9 miles to the trailhead. I was going to walk every one of them without stopping. The fog held the entire way. 3 hours of white nothing and wet rhododendron. I didn't see a single animal, not a squirrel, not a bird, just trees and fog and my own boots on the ground. I came out of the tree line and hit the gravel lot. My truck was there. Green Ford Ranger, mud-spattered, pine needles on the hood. But there was another vehicle, a beige Subaru Outback, maybe early 2000s. No parking permit, no backcountry tag. I walked up to it, looked in the backseat window. A pink tag. Sitting on the back seat, my pink tag, badge 4471, dated 10/28 yesterday. On the dashboard in the sun, a paperback. The Shining, dog-eared, open to page 217. I got in my truck, I drove out. I didn't stop for gas until I was in Winchester, 3 counties east. My hands didn't stop shaking until I hit the interstate. I quit the service that December, filed my resignation by email, didn't go back for my gear at the cabin. Told them to mail me my last check. 6 weeks later, I got a call from the district office. New ranger, guy named Torres, doing a winter sweep. He found a tent at Campsite 7, orange, 2-person, can of peaches, a paperback. He asked me if I knew anything about it. I said no. The pink tag on the zipper had my badge number,